Hello and welcome to Newswatch at 11. I'm Tiger DeMello and we will start our 11 p.m. newscast with the biggest headline today. Former President Donald Trump has been found guilty on all 34 felony charges. This makes him the first ever U.S. president tried and convicted of crimes. The jury deliberated for more than 10 hours after the day began with the judge rereading parts of his jury instructions. Court reporters also read back portions of Michael Cohen and David Pecker's testimony. That included what Pecker said about a call he had with Trump about former Playboy model Karen McDougal. Court reporters also read back testimony from Pecker and Cohen about a meeting at Trump Tower in 2015. The trial moves on to the sentencing. The former president will almost certainly appeal. Trump addressing reporters as he exited the courtroom, saying the outcome was a disgrace. Take a listen.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here.
Now, we have many different reactions from our local and state politicians. We start off with Attorney General Patrick Morrisey, who is also the Republican nominee for governor. As the state's head lawyer, he offered his thoughts on the trial itself, saying he believes the conviction will be overturned, and said he will continue to fight for the former president.
Number one, this should never have even gotten to the trial phase. You have these political prosecutions that are occurring. These are witch hunts at the highest level. Things that are normally considered to be a misdemeanor are being converted to felonies because you're trying to go after the GOP nominee for president. That shouldn't happen in America. We have to stand up strong against that. In a normal situation, you would not ever do what you're doing right here. We have to make sure that that issue comes out across the country. I do expect, just as an observer, looking at what went on in New York, that this case will be reversed upon appeal. I believe that because of their efforts to combine these different potential crimes together and give faulty instructions to the jury. I believe that because ultimately the arguments are born from an improper political purpose. This is something that I hope does not stand. I'm going to keep working hard to defend President Trump. This is an outrage, an affront to our constitutional republic, and we have to make sure that we take steps to defend our president.
Current Governor Jim Justice, who is currently running for Senate, also responded to the verdict, saying, quote, "The guilty verdict against President Donald Trump is a deeply troubling and politicized decision that undermines the principles of justice. The witch hunt against President Trump continues today. President Trump has always put America first and fought for the values that make our nation great. He and the entire Trump family are champions for America. I will always treasure my friendship with Donald J. Trump and the Trump family and never waver in my support. We must do all we can to help re-elect President Trump in November." U.S. Representative Carol Miller also spoke about this historic case, saying, quote, "This is a sad day for the United States. This verdict is clearly politicized, politically motivated, and it's terrible that politics has corrupted our justice system. When President Trump is reelected in November with Republican majorities in the House and Senate, we will ensure that people are punished for committing crimes and not because of their politics," end quote. The West Virginia Republican Party itself is coming together, condemning the guilty verdict and saying that it supports President Trump. A common theme from Republicans around the state is a push for financial donations. Here's what State GOP Chairman Matt Heritage had to say.
Well, they've tried to take Donald Trump off the ballot, and now they're trying to take him off the campaign trail. That's all that this is about. Democrats don't think that Joe Biden can win at the ballot box, so they're resorting to lawfare, liberal show trials, in an attempt to weaken him. What we've witnessed in this sham trial in Manhattan is a real low point for our country. The Biden DOJ and the liberal jurists have totally trampled over our American standard of justice. And while American people are seeing right through this, we all have to stand up, and we're all going to have to speak out. I just rushed a contribution to President Trump's campaign, and I hope we turn this travesty into a massive fundraising week for the Trump campaign. Republicans won't be deterred. Donald Trump will win in the end, and West Virginia and the American people are ready, now more than ever, to send Donald Trump back to the White House.
Newswatch is also getting a response from current President Joe Biden's team. Biden-Harris 2024 Communications Director Michael Tyler said this about today's verdict, quote, "In New York today, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain. But today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There's still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, at the ballot box. Convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president. The threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He is running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one and calling for our Constitution to be terminated so he can regain and keep power. A second Trump term means chaos, ripping away Americans' freedoms and fomenting political violence. And the American people will reject it this November." End quote. And now we turn to what District Attorney Dalvin Bragg had to say following the verdict. Bragg said white-collar prosecution is a major role of the Manhattan District's Attorney's Office. He thanked the members of the jury and said that their voice was the only one that mattered.
The 12 everyday jurors vowed to make a decision based on the evidence and the law, and the evidence and the law alone. Their deliberations led them to a unanimous conclusion. And while this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without fear or favor.